Welcome back for the continuation of our series on the 7 deadly sins of investing. Today we'll discuss the sin of greed. My pastor told me of a research study. Researchers brought a number of 6-year-old boys into a room one by one, and they asked these 6-year-old boys whether they wanted 1 cookie or 2. Every single one of them naturally chose 2 cookies. One by one as they came in. Johnny, do you want 1 cookie or 2? I want 2. Jimmy, do you want 1 cookie or 2? I want 2. Bobby, do you want 1 cookie or 2? 2. Then they brought the boys in pairs. So Johnny and Jimmy would come in together. And the researchers say to Johnny, Johnny, do you want 1 cookie or 2? And the boy said, well, I want 2. Then the researcher said, be careful. If you choose 2, Jimmy gets 3. So here's the choice. Do you want 1 cookie? Each of you will get 1 cookie. Or do you want 2 cookies, understanding that Jimmy will get 3? What do you think the boys chose? Well, these 6-year-old boys, not surprisingly, they said 1 cookie. Every single one of them. The researchers are proving that sometimes we would rather have less than see someone else have more than we have. This is what is at the heart of greed. Mark Twain said, few of us can stand prosperity. Another man's, I mean. What is greed? Greed is an intense desire to increase one's wealth. Whereas envy resents what other people have, greed wants more than everyone else. You don't just desire something, but you desire more and more of it. Greedy individuals have a disregard for others. They have a deep selfishness about them. It's not that you need more, it's that you want more, and you want more than others have. Money by itself is not a sin. It is the love of money. In 1 Timothy, Paul wrote, for the love of money is a root of all kinds of evils. As with every sin, Wall Street uses this against us, and for their benefit. Here are 3 signs Wall Street is taking advantage of your sin or causing you to sin. Sign number 1. Wall Street will keep telling you that you deserve more, more, more. Do you ever hear Wall Street spread the message to be satisfied or grateful with the things you have? Even though you may have plenty and doing pretty well, you are made to want what others have. They'll say, what you have is not enough. Others have more. You should have more. You're left looking for the next shiny object, whether it be the next big trade or the next trading system that will give you huge returns. Sign number 2, they'll highlight get-rich-quick schemes and claim that if you had invested with their program or their picks, you would have 100 times the return. Angela Hembury wrote in the VectorVest Views a very good reminder that if it's too good to be true, it probably is. She went on to remind us that in late 2020, early 2021, the Reddit Wall Street Bets community, known for its aggressive trading strategies, began preying on young and/or inexperienced investors. It all started with a short squeeze on GameStop, touted as retail investors taking back their power and putting the proverbial screws to hedge fund managers. But in reality, under all the hype was greed. For the investors, it was their own desire to make big money fast. For those perpetrating the trade, Wall Street Bets, it was almost a social experiment to make really big money with the help of others, but really at the expense of others. Every stock they traded were, and still are, very risky bets that investors made on low-value, low-safety stocks. These stocks became known as meme stocks. Sure, some investors made money on those trades, some made a lot of money, but those inexperienced investors who held on to those stocks, maybe still own them, lost out and lost big in most cases. Sign number 3 is they'll tell you to stay in the market all the time, regardless of what's going on. Even during the steepest sell-offs, They'll tell you to ride it out. They'll tell you the market always goes back up eventually, so you should just keep buying. They'll say, if you're not in the market, you'll miss out on the big move. The train's going to leave the station without you. Now that you know the signs that Wall Street is trying to get you to commit the investing sin of greed, how do you know if you've succumbed to Wall Street's temptations? Here are 5 signs you've committed the investing sin of greed. The first sign is that you think of the money first. You find that your first instinct when looking at a new trade is to think, how much money will I make on this trade? Of course, we all want to make money. But if you think of the money first, that's a trap. Think about it this way. We've all had jobs at one point in our life. And I bet you were successful at that job. Why were you successful? Was it because you went into work each day thinking about how much money you were making? Or were you successful because you concentrated on doing the job well? When you did your job well, you got rewarded financially for doing your job well. So, you as an investor, you want to be thinking about making the best trades and doing the trades well. The money will come as a result of that. Sign number 2 is you say things like, I have a profit, but if I close it now, it'll probably keep going up. Or the last time I sold a stock, it kept going up. So I'm not selling this one yet. Both are emotional statements with greed at the foundation. Sign number 3 is you take unnecessary risks. You might buy speculative stocks, hoping for a big winner. You invest too much money in a trade, thinking you're going to strike it rich. You might buy too early, trying to nail the bottom of the market, or catch a stock at the very bottom. Not only because you're hoping for big gains, but at the core of greed is because you want to beat out everyone else. Sign number 4, you get angry when others make money, especially if they're making more money than you, even if you're making money too. And sign number 5 is you don't want to share your trading ideas. You feel if you do, others will make money and possibly more money than I am. They're going to take all my money away from me. If Wall Street has successfully tempted you and you've judged yourself to be guilty, how do you respond? Your response to the investing sin of greed is generosity. As with other sins, you must first confess you've been a greedy investor. Actually say out loud, I've been a greedy investor. Generosity, coupled with thankfulness, is a cure for greed. Generosity breaks the stranglehold of greed. Be generous with more than just your money. Be generous with your time and share your investing thoughts and ideas with others. Proverbs 11:25 says, a generous person will prosper. Whoever refreshes others will be refreshed. To that end, here are 5 action steps to take to avoid committing the investing sin of greed. Greed and wrath share several steps in common, since those who are greedy tend to get angry because they are never satisfied. They take big risks and aren't managing trades well. Thus, many solution steps overlap. As we go through these, have a pen and paper handy to write them down. Step number 1 is to focus on making the best trades. If you focus on the money, you become emotional and make mistakes. Your goal is to make the best trades. It may turn out to be a winner. It may turn out to be a loser. But your goal is to make the best trade. Step number 2 is to use a trading checklist. The trading checklist should have clearly defined rules of when to buy, what to buy, and when to sell. Following a checklist for each trade will ensure you are following all the rules. Step number 3 is to use stop prices to minimize risk and lock in profits. Make sure that you place a stop on every stock you buy. The stop should give your stock enough room to breathe so you are not stopped out too early. If you have a profit, you should have rules in place to lock in profits. Don't trade haphazardly or sell because you're afraid. Use rules. Step number 4 is you need to manage risk. Investing in the stock market involves risk. The key is to do what you can to manage that risk so you are able to live to fight another day. Here's 3 ways you can manage risk. First, make sure any loss you take on a trade is no more than 1 to 2% of your overall portfolio size. For example, if your trading account is $100,000, the most you should lose on a trade should be no more than $1,000 to $2,000. You do this through a combination of using the right stop prices and sizing your position correctly. Second, invest with caution when the market is overbought and at topping levels. At those times, cut your position size in half so you can still participate in the up move, but you do so with less risk. Third, diversify by industry group. Don't put too many of your eggs in one basket. Even though a certain industry may be hot at the time and you may be lured by greed, don't succumb to greed. In a 10-stock portfolio, have no more than 2 positions in any one industry group. Finally, step number 5 is to look for opportunities to share your investing knowledge with others. Remember, you're not sharing to boast and commit the sin of pride. You are sharing to build others up. Well, how can VectorVest help you defend yourself against Wall Street and the investing sin of greed? VectorVest has been around since 1988, helping individuals become successful investors, and here's how VectorVest can help you. To help you focus on making the best trade, we offer training courses on different investing techniques. The first one you should go through is our Successful Investing Quick Start course, followed by the full Successful Investing course. In just 90 minutes, the Quick Start course teaches a prudent investing system and lays out basic rules of when to buy, what to buy, and when to sell. The full Successful Investor course goes in depth into each topic taught in the Quick Start course. Plus, there are additional modules to help you set up your game plan and an entire module on managing your risk through trade setup and portfolio setup. To help you set your stop price, VectorVest calculates a stop price for each stock every day. This is purely mathematical. It's based on a 13-week moving average, but it is adjusted for fundamentals. Risky stocks will have a tighter stop. Safe stocks will have a looser stop. This gives stocks the appropriate room to breathe. In our prudent, successful investing portfolio, we use this as our initial line in the sand. The full Successful Investor course goes into detail on how to use stop prices to lock in profits as well. One of the ways we discussed to manage risk was in regards to your entries. First, you only want to buy when the market is rising. You don't want to buy when the market is falling. Let's start there. The timing gauge and the color guard will give you this information. Additionally, using indicators like the MTI, which stands for Market Timing Indicator, you'll know whether the market is at a topping level or bottoming level. When the MTI gets over 1.5, you can either stop buying stocks altogether or you can invest with more caution. As long as there are still green lights in the price column, you could buy stocks, but you could choose to use half the amount of money as you normally would. If you'd like to branch out from the base system taught in the Quick Start course, VectorVest has trading systems for all types of investors. The Trading System Viewer provides you with pre-built trading systems with all the rules built in. Each one has predefined rules stating when to buy, what to buy, and when to sell. All trading systems are categorized by investing style, and we provide performance metrics to help you choose the best one for you. Finally, VectorVest provides weekly coaching and online communities to keep you informed and motivated. These communities are full of investors with whom you can share your ideas and insights. Before we wrap up, I'd like to share some wise words from Proverbs 13:11. Wealth gained hastily will dwindle, but whoever gathers little by little will increase it. And with that, I'll wrap up by saying don't fight Wall Street alone. Let's do it together and come out victorious. Thank you for being here.